Hi, everyone. Everybody walking by, too. Definitely want you to come and see this. Great new product, okay? Take 5 minutes. You're going to want to see this. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Good afternoon. My name is Josh. I'm a producer and training manager with the VCC, and I am living proof of just how easy our AirFirst platform makes managing IP video remotes. I joined the VCC shortly after we rescued the 2020 NFL Draft, bringing our years of experience in video call remotes to the first ever virtual draft with over 110 remotes of top prospects around the country. Fast forward to today, and we're bringing those years of experience and tens of thousands of remotes that we use to execute the draft and hundreds of other productions, and we're taking that platform and making it available to you. So what is AirFirst? How does it work? Who uses it? We'll cover all of that today and more. First, I want to talk about who it helps in your production workflow. Your bookers and producers, your security and IT teams, really importantly, your contributors, and your production team as a whole. So naturally, let's start at the beginning. How does this platform work? You sign into AirFirst. It is a cloud-based platform, so your producers can use it wherever they are, in the studio, on the road, or at home. When they sign in, they get access to a host of features, including a schedule to manage all their remotes, and a contacts database with lifetime links for contributors. Moving on to step 2, you add a contributor to the platform. All you need to add a contributor in AirFirst is their name and a phone number or email address. If you're working with guests who are hyper conscious about security and worried about their information, you don't even need to enter contact info. You can add just the name and copy a link outside the platform. You also have the option to create a guest with info, and as soon as their call on air is done, delete that information from the system. From here, the system can automatically send out a link to your guest, and the next step, they click on a link. If we have any bookers or producers in the audience, you should have absolutely no limits in terms of who you can get on your show. You should be able to book anybody, anywhere, at a moment's notice. And for your contributors, it should be stress-free and simple. With the AirFirst platform, we make it an easy experience for guests, and you can get first video from the contributor in as little as 12 seconds. How do we make that possible? It all starts with a core tenet of VCC, which is no downloads ever. Using AirFirst, your guest does not have to download a thing to connect. They also have no usernames to remember and no passwords. What's step 2? Any device works. If it has a mic, a camera, and the ability to connect to the internet, your guest can use it. This opens up quite literally billions of devices around the world. Those of us in the audience, myself included, right, we're programmed to think of these as consumption devices. At the VCC, we like to flip that on its head and think of them as contribution devices. Last but not least, it is really just one click for the guest. We have 3 built-in native applications. If you don't like the video quality you're seeing on one, within seconds you can switch over to the next application without having to send the guest another link. You can hear me talk about it, but let's actually take a look and see what the guest sees when we send them an AirFirst link to their cell phone. So we've sent a text to the guest from the platform. They click on the link. It opens in the native browser on their device. Our platform begins to analyze their connection and gives them a list of tips and tricks they can use to get ready for air. Our remote producers assigned them to the right machine in studio, launch the call. We've got picture up from the guest, and they're getting full screen program return back. Hyper low latency on the program return and the contributor, below 200 milliseconds. Now you start saving time with those 12-second connections, but it doesn't end there. Remember, this is a cloud-based platform, so once you've tested a guest and they're ready for air, one remote producer can pass them off to another who can launch that call on the appropriate machine in studio, continuing to save you time. Let's look at some tangible numbers when it comes to saving you time. I'm going to start with that 12 seconds. What can you do in 12 seconds? You could walk about 50 feet, scroll Instagram or Facebook a little bit. That's it, I'm out. I've got nothing else. Now, in 12 seconds, you can get video from a contributor anywhere in the world. Let's look at a slightly bigger number. 20 minutes. What could you do with an extra 20 minutes every day? Well, you could walk about a mile, start a show on Netflix, read a chapter of a book. VCC did a study of one of our largest news clients and found that because of those 12-second connections, their producers were able to start focusing on the human element, framing, lighting, content, and not focus on troubleshooting the connection. We found that it saved them an average of, you guessed it, 20 minutes per remote. Let's go one step further. What if, like one of the largest news organizations in the country, you did 25,000 remotes a year? Well, at 20 minutes saved a remote, we're talking about an extra 8,000 hours every year. What could you do if I gave you an extra 8,000 hours a year? I'll give you a few ideas. You could go to the moon and back more than 50 times. You could watch over 3,000 NBA basketball games start to finish. Or you could leverage that time into financial savings and working on all the projects you wished you had time for that year. The potential is limitless. Now you've saved time connecting with the guest, you've saved time passing them off and launching the call. Once you launch the call on the appropriate machine, VCC's patented CMP software takes the wheel. Our software automatically full screens the guest, removes the return video box, and eliminates any buttons on screen. All of this is done without you ever touching the machine. It is headless in your control room. Once again, you can hear me talk about it. Let's actually see what that looks like. We've got a machine in studio, and we're launching a call to a guest on their phone. The guest's picked up, and in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, they're full screened. And in 7, 8, 9, about 10 seconds, buttons are off screen, and I've got a clean ISO ready for air without touching the machine. Josh, can you wave hello to everybody out here for me? Thank you. Now, obviously, that guest could have used a little bit more time in hair, makeup, and wardrobe, but with all of the time that you are going to save using this AirFirst platform, he'll have plenty of time for that before his next appearance. And that, my friends, is it. Those are the 5 simple steps using the AirFirst platform to get a remote ready for air. Before I open it up for any questions, I just want to recap what we covered today. VCC has taken the platform that we have used for tens of thousands of remotes and on all the productions that you see behind you, in front of you, and more, and we are making it available for you to use as a SaaS subscription model. What does this include? Lifetime links for your contributors, where you can get first video in as little as 12 seconds, no downloads, no usernames, no passwords. A contacts database where your guest's PII is encrypted and kept secure, a calendar to schedule out all of your remotes for the day or the year, patented software on the machines so that your control room and transmission no longer have to touch the computers. They click a button, the call launches, and is set up for you. All of this and more is now available to you. We could not be more excited to be offering you AirFirst. And with that, I want to say thank you and open it up for any questions. Thank you. I think I saw a question in the back there. I think, how do we deal with the limitations of... So what if you have the permission set on your device to not allow access to the camera? It's a great question. So part of the value of the platform is that we have 3 built-in applications. So if you're using one of our WebRTC applications, perhaps the one we built ourselves, and we launch it, and you have denied access to that application in the browser, you don't let it access your camera, we can switch over to another. This comes in handy a lot when there's firewalls on networks that guests are using. So if one application isn't allowed, we can switch over to another. If you're using an Apple device, for example, we have up to 3 applications. And if you don't allow browser access in that one, we can actually call out to you, like you saw with the guest there. So we have a couple of different options there. You could use basically any browser with our platform and any device. So we haven't really found an instance where a guest has no browsers, no devices, where they have some permission where we can get that mic and camera. We do ask you for it, right? Because we don't want to, we don't want to use your mic and camera if you're not okay with it. Thank you for asking. Any other questions? I've got time. Young lady with the light mask. Sure. Great question. So it was, what if you do not know the guests that you're going to be bringing on the show? So the model that I did show you today, right? I knew the guest's name, and I sent a link out to them. What if you want guests to come to you? Well, we can do that. We have a feature called Koller Q, which combines the best of call-in radio with live television. You can put a QR code on screen. You can put a URL out online wherever you want it. Guests watching the program can click it or they can scan it, and they come into you. You can set different criteria and say, I only want to talk to people calling in from Ukraine today, and I want to hear about their experience and broadcast it. I want to talk to folks in New York. I want them on this device, or I want people who want to talk about a specific topic. You can set all sorts of filters, and then your producer, the AirFirst operator, gets to vet all of these guests. They sign a release on the way, and then you can bring them to air. So it's call-in television, and while they're waiting to participate, they're kept in a branded environment, right, to your show, and they have live program coming to them. Thank you. Yeah, great question. What if I want to have, was it more than one person on a... So what I did show when we launched the call on the iPhone was one guest on one machine, but that's not your only option. We do have a feature called Crowd View, which allows you to use a multi-box. So you can have anywhere from 2 up to 25 remotes on one machine. Within that, we have an additional feature called BOP, which gives you a little bit of, I like to call it switchability. And you can say, maybe in this virtual audience, I like the guest in the 3rd seat. You BOP them, it full screens that guest, and automatically mutes the participants behind them. You can go from one guest in a seat straight to another, or you can pull them back into the crowd before going to another guest. It's a feature that you've seen on NBA TV, among other shows. And CrowdView is also used on the Kelly Clarkson show for all of their virtual audience members. So you have options. Awesome. While I'm up here, any other questions? Please. I'm going to ask someone to maybe project it. I think it was about increasing the picture quality. Is that, okay. So I will draw back to 2 things, right? The any device and the applications. Our platform can work with as little or as much as you have. If a guest is using their phone, great, we connect and we can get picture off that camera. If a guest is in studio using a $15,000 camera, great, that works too. So you have no limitations in terms of the actual camera. Then if you're saying, well, what if they just have this phone available, but I want the best picture quality possible? That's where the applications come in handy. We have applications that work great with low bandwidth and might cap at 720, and we have applications that can work with higher bandwidth and give you a much stronger picture. So if I have an eyewitness on the street on data and they don't even have 4G available, I might be okay settling for not the best picture, but we have something that can handle a really good connection with whatever they've got. If you've got a guest who's got more bandwidth available, there isn't really a limit, right? I can use a higher bandwidth application, all from that one link, to make sure I'm getting the best picture quality that their camera can actually allow. So I think it was, thank you, I think it was we collect a certain amount of data about the guest device. Is it exportable? I don't know if I've been asked that before. It's a really interesting question. I would think if it's something that's really important to you, it's probably possible. But that's not the intent, right? So the reason that we're collecting that device, browser, and OS information is to make it so that the operator, right, the producer, doesn't really have to worry about any of that. They don't have to go back and forth with the guest on the phone. They know all of it ahead of time, and they can dive right into setting up the best shot. But the information is in there for you, and if it was important to you to get it in a certain way, I imagine it's possible. Thank you for asking. Wonderful. All right, thank you all so much for being a great audience. Happy to be here today. Our booth, W9727 in the far corner. Please come see us. I can't wait to talk to you.